Hi, and welcome back to Module 3. I'm Barbara Gray, research professor at Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. In this module, we'll cover how to find public records and documents to tell breaking news or enterprise stories, and how records and documents can help you create data sets where none exist. This documents mindset is typically associated with investigative reporting. Still, adopting a documents or records mindset will help you tell breaking news, second day stories, and enterprise stories with more context, detail, and history, making your reporting stand out. To get into this mindset, I want to talk to you about primary sources. A primary source of information is a document, a record, or a firsthand account created at a specific time by people involved in an event. These can be public records such as property tax forms, court documents, government documents, audit reports, police reports, business and corporation records. They could also be interviews, emails, videos, photos, texts, scientific studies, diaries, speeches, letters, or meeting minutes. Primary sources are the best sources of information because they are direct and have more authority than secondary sources or secondhand sources, like those in newspapers, books, encyclopedias, and journal articles, or told to you by experts, etc. Retold to you, say, by experts. We'll cover more of this in our fact-checking module, but if you use secondary sources alone, you can perpetuate errors. Instead, get to the primary source of the info whenever possible. No matter what type of story you're working on, try and maintain a watchdog attitude, which refers to journalism that seeks to keep powerful people and policymakers accountable and processes and issues transparent for your readers. Seeking primary source records is a way to answer the important questions for your reader. Why did this happen? What led up to it? Who's accountable? What evidence can I find of all of this in the records? Legal documents are underutilized resources for journalists. You can find out information that is otherwise private. It might be disclosed in legal documents, like revenues for a private business. Legal documents can help you find people affected by an issue and give you some narrative directly from the documents. Just be transparent about where you got that information. Here are some good sources of US and international direct links to public records and legal records that are available online. Just drill down through these links to your local area. The US has a federal database of criminal and civil court records called PACER. This relatively cheap pay service requires registration. However, for free, you can search a database of documents pulled off PACER using an extension called Recap. The database is not comprehensive, but it's an easy way to get started, in the US anyway. Here's a good example of the type of reporting I'm talking about. In this story, Caitlin Vu from the Sahan Journal, whose beat is housing, used the documents from a civil lawsuit filed in Pennsylvania that alleged that inspectors are less active in neighborhoods where the majority of residents are people of color. They don't respond to housing complaints and do not hold predatory landlords accountable for violations. The lawsuit is accessible on the Minnesota court's website. She used the 44-page complaint filed against the city as a source and made it clear that that was a source. The lawsuit analyzed public data on housing and inspections. So this reporter went to the data source and created visualizations showing the problem for her readers. A city spokesperson confirmed in an email that each ward has about 2 or 1 inspectors handling complaints, despite the huge disparity in the number of complaints in certain wards. Another good example is the story from the Austin American-Statesman, which reported on an emergency week-long boil water order in the large city of Austin, Texas in 2018. They followed that up with a story to tell readers what went wrong through a public records request. They received the official reports of what happened in the water filtration plants leading up to the crisis. They created a chronology of events for the reader, and the city acknowledged that an earlier call for reduced water use would have meant that the plants could have more easily dealt with the crisis caused by flooding. I want to encourage you to make all of the documents you use as sources publicly accessible to your readers. Just link to them. In our next video, I'll introduce you to Google Pinpoint and Document Cloud to help you analyze, share, and annotate documents. We'll also look at more sources of documents and records you can mine for your stories. And talk about when you should file a Freedom of Information or a public records request, and what to do when your data, the data you need, doesn't exist. See you in a minute.